I never imagined seeing -510,000 on my phone, then the text that changed everything. The screen glared at me, bright and cold, those numbers like a punch to the gut. My heart raced. Cold sweat trickled down my back. How could this be? I felt dizzy, like the very air had been sucked from my lungs. I never wanted money like that. I wasn't ready. I gripped my phone tighter, my trembling hands screaming anxiety. I sat in my dimly lit kitchen, the clock ticking loudly, counting seconds that felt like a lifetime. Everything around me was silent, yet my mind was a storm. How could this happen? My family needed help. My sister Sarah had just lost her job. My mom was struggling to keep the house. I had been trying to hold us together, pouring every ounce of energy, every late-night shift into saving us. But this? This was surreal. I scanned the screen again. It felt like a cruel joke. Who would send me this amount? Was it a mistake, or worse, a scam? The notification. It was just a simple message from an unknown number: the money is yours. Use it wisely. My stomach knotted. Clarity was shattered by confusion. Was I dreaming? I pinched myself hard, it hurt. Reality settled back in, yet so many questions lingered. Outside, the sky was darkening. Rain began to patter against the windows like a desperate plea. I could almost hear it whispering the truths I was avoiding. My breaths grew shallow. Did I dare respond? What if this was a trap? My phone buzzed again, and I jumped, my heart pounding. This could be life-changing. Or it could ruin everything. Should I tell Sarah? Would she think I had lost my sanity? No, I wouldn't risk it, not yet. I felt the weight of my decision closing around me. The thought of betrayal loomed. And what about Mom? Could I keep this secret from her? As the minutes crawled by, I could feel the tension squeezing the air from my chest. I took a deep breath, my heart hammering in my ears. The only sound was the relentless rain, drowning out my thoughts. I couldn't decide. My future hinged on a decision I wasn't ready to make, and then, my screen lit up once again. Another message blinked on the display. You have 24 hours. My fingers shook. What did that mean? I was spiraling into a fog of uncertainty. Suddenly, the clock felt louder than ever. I never imagined that seeing a number like that could change everything, but now my world was shifting. With just one more message, my life could be on the line. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The rain continued to beat against the windows, a somber symphony of grief echoing the tumult inside me. I could barely breathe as I stared at the clock, each tick marking the passing of precious moments. 24 hours felt like a lifetime, but I knew better. With every tick, the pressure built, constricting my chest like a vice. As the minutes slipped away, my thoughts tangled deeper in doubt and feared. I wandered to the living room, the light of the street lamps outside casting ghostly shadows on the walls. My family was oblivious, wrapped in their own struggles just beyond the thin door. Sarah was on the couch, her eyes glued to a job listing website, desperately searching for a glimmer of hope and desperation. I wanted so badly to reach out and tell her everything, how I could fix our crumbling world with a single decision. It gnawed at me, the urge to lift the weight off her shoulders, yet the fear of the unknown held me back. Hey, Sarah said softly, looking up from her screen. Do you want to talk about it? You've been a little off tonight. Her voice was a tender thread wrapped around my heart, urging me to open up. I hesitated, searching her face for a sign that she could handle the truth. Would she view me as a savior or a fool? The line was thin. I am fine, I managed, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach my eyes. Just a rough day. You know how it is. I could see her uncertainty, and guilt washed over me. She deserved better than my facade, but I couldn't risk it.as if the universe wished to draw my attention away from the impending storm. A soft chime sounded from my phone. A message. My heart raced again, pounding against my ribs. It was the unknown number. Remember, time is not your friend. Think carefully. The words sent shivers down my spine, compounding my already spiraling thoughts. Time was running out, forcing me into an abyss of impending action. I returned to the kitchen, trying to find clarity within the chaos. My fingers grazed the edges of my phone as if it were a dangerous weapon. Did I choose the path of uncertainty or remain shackled to my dire circumstances? The choice felt as heavy as holding a grudge against fate itself. Mom emerged from her room, her tired eyes reflecting years of burdens carried, now accentuated by flickers of worry. Is everything okay? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper, as she leaned against the doorframe. At that moment, I glimpsed the lines of anguish etched across her face, and another pang of guilt surged through me. How could I add this heavy secret to her existing weight? Yeah, just a lot on my mind, I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. She nodded but lingered as if searching my eyes for the truth. I silently begged her to step back, to not delve deeper into the frantic storm brewing in my world.as she shuffled back to the kitchen. I watched her weary silhouette vanish. Holding the phone in my hand, my breathing quickened, torn between telling her the bizarre truth and protecting her from the fallout. Maybe it was guilt that made me hesitate. Or the belief that love was best delivered without the burden of knowledge. Just then, a small, unexpected spark interrupted the turmoil, a soft knock at the door. I glanced at the clock. Who could it be at this hour? Hesitant yet curious, I approached the door, my heart racing once more. I slowly turned the handle, my pulse echoing in my ears. Standing outside, drenched from the rain, was Iris, an old friend from high school. I hadn't seen her in years, and her unexpected presence felt like a ray of sunshine amidst the storm clouds. But her face was troubled, a sadness that tugged at memories I thought I'd buried. Can I come in? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper, trembling as she caught her breath. I stepped aside, stunned, unsure of how to unravel the web of emotions stirring within me. Of course, what's wrong? I asked, closing the door behind her, an uneasy sense of foreboding settling in the pit of my stomach.as she stepped into my home, her troubled gaze fell to my phone, still glowing ominously on the table. I could feel the weight of secrets hovering between us. Would tonight be the night we both opened old wounds? In that moment, I understood something could change, that Iris might hold a piece of the puzzle I needed. Yet, at that very second, my phone buzzed again, and I couldn't escape the feeling that this was just the beginning of something much darker, not just for me, but for everyone I loved. The message screamed for attention, but I hesitated. Time was running out, and the decisions I made tonight could shatter lives or create a lasting bond in the face of chaos. I had no way of knowing which path awaited me, nor could I have predicted how deeply intertwined our lives would soon become. I glanced back at Iris, and the realization hit me harder than ever. The choices looming before me could change everything. The rain continued its relentless assault, drowning the world outside in a rhythmic frenzy, but within the walls of our home, a different storm brewed, a fickle mingling of hope and despair. The flickering light from the living room cast eerie shadows that danced on the walls, mirroring the uncertainty thrumming through my veins. Iris stood in the entryway, drenched and shivering, her presence both comforting and disconcerting. As she peeled off her soaked jacket, I noticed the frayed edges of her spirit, the weariness around her eyes, indicators of silent battles I had yet to understand. Thanks for letting me in, she said, her voice barely a whisper, and I could see her struggling for control. I wasn't sure where else to go. I nodded, letting the door close behind her, sealing us both inside a space heavy with the echoes of unsaid words. What happened? I found myself asking, the instinct to protect blooming within my chest. Iris took a deep breath, gathering the shattered pieces of herself. I couldn't stay at home anymore. I had a fight with my dad, and things have been rough since Mom left. The loneliness is suffocating. As her words unraveled like thread from a needle, I felt a surprising kinship bloom in the space between us. Her heartache resonated with my own, a delicate connection forged in our shared burdens. I get that. Sometimes it feels like everything is collapsing, and the walls are closing in. There was a fleeting moment of understanding in her eyes, a glimmer of hope that sparked amidst the despair. We stood close, two souls tethered by unspoken tragedies. The buzzing of my phone pierced the fragile moment, and I fished it from the table, heart thundering as I stared at the new message displayed on the screen. The familiar number one I had dreaded since the first ominous text loomed over me like a gathering storm. And then I saw the words that dropped like a weight into my gut, -510,000. 5 days left. Shock rippled through my entire being, paralyzing my thoughts. I could only focus on the numbers, staring in disbelief. All the breath left my lungs, as suffocating and heavy as the silence enveloping us. "What's wrong?" Iris asked, a mixture of concern and curiosity clouding her features as she leaned closer. I wanted to protect her from this, to shield us both from the oncoming deluge of despair. But the urgency clawed at my throat, refusing to let me silence the truth. "It's money," I uttered, my voice thick and unsteady. I owe this much. And I have 5 days to figure it out, or what?" She pressed, her brown eyes searching mine for answers, "Or everything I built will go up in flames," I confessed, feeling the weight of my fears surge to the surface. "My family will lose the house, the life we've carved out." Iris flinched at the gravity of my words, the reality settling heavy between us. But even amidst the chaos of my life, a flicker of resolve ignited in her eyes. "You don't have to face this alone," she said, determination threading through her softness. But the shadows of doubt curled tightly around my heart. "What could you possibly do? It's overwhelming. I'm afraid of what this will pull into the light, how it might change everything." Her gaze was steady, unwavering, as she stepped closer, reaching for my hand. "Tell me what you need. We can come up with something." The sincerity in her voice held a balm over my jagged fears. There was a moment I could almost believe that I didn't have to navigate this turmoil alone. But I still felt my own shame bubbling up at the thought of burdening her with this chaos. I was far too familiar with the wounds that life had inflicted, and I knew I had to maintain some semblance of control, even as my world threatened to spiral. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed again, and I felt bile rising in my throat. Another message. I hesitated, fear gripping my heart as I summoned the courage to look. What if this was an ultimatum, a countdown to horror? But curiosity gnawed at me, and I reluctantly opened it. Just above the cryptic lines of my bank statement lay another message, one that sent my heart plummeting. "An offer awaits you. Embrace the darkness." My breath hitched, fear washing over me like icy water. This text promised something I wasn't willing to consider. My mind raced with confusion. What darkness? Would I have to surrender my soul to secure our future? Iris peered over my shoulder, her expression shifting from concern to alarm. "What does it say?" I don't know," I stammered, wrestling with the weight of the moment, the urgency of our situation closing in like a noose. I didn't want to burden her with this threat, yet the storm of desperation within me demanded that I share something. "Do you trust me?" she asked, her voice steady. "Let's face this together." The words hovered in the air, a fragile thread weaving us into an unforeseen alliance. But what awaited us beyond this point, I couldn't fully grasp, and the chasm of uncertainty swallowed my hope whole as my eyes darted back to the phone. A wild thought ignited, sending shivers down my spine. What if the unfolding darkness didn't just threaten me but came for Iris as well? Suddenly, the stakes soared as I was faced with a decision whether to shield her or disclose the looming dangers that danced in shadows forming within the very walls we stood. And in that moment, as the rain continued its mournful symphony outside, I understood that the night was only just the beginning of a journey that could forever alter the lives we both fought to protect. The storm outside had reduced to a soft drizzle, but the tension inside the room thickened like fog. My heart raced as I stood frozen, the weight of my unspoken fears hanging between us like a taut wire. The phone felt heavier in my palm, the spectral glow of the screen casting an otherworldly light across Iris's face, highlighting the anxiety that mirrored my own. I finally croaked, the words barely escaping my throat. I can't let you get pulled into this mess. Iris took a step back, her expression hardening slightly. I'm already in it, whether you want me here or not. You can't just shut me out because you're scared. Her words struck deep, and for a fleeting moment, I wanted to snatch them back to feel the sting of isolation instead of the ache of connection. You don't understand what's at stake, I implored, my voice rising with desperate sincerity. If you knew you wouldn't want to be involved, try me, she replied, a hint of frustration seeping into her tone. I'm facing my own demons. If we try to navigate this together, it might actually give us both a fighting chance. The intensity of her gaze melted some of the barricades around my heart. I took a shaky breath, imagining for a brief moment what it would feel like to share the burden. But just as quickly, the specter of my reality loomed larger, reminding me of the depths I would have to plunge into if I laid myself bare. My family, they're counting on me, I eventually whispered, the confession releasing a torrent ID kept tightly coiled. If I can't pay up, we could lose everything. I don't want you to feel responsible. Her expression softened, and she stepped closer again, the warmth radiating from her like a beacon in the night. You're not alone in this, and you won't be. I want to help. Let's figure out what the darkness means. A chord of hope began to resonate within me, igniting a flicker that warred with the shadows of apprehension. Maybe there was a way to confront the unknown together. Okay, I relented, keeping my hand tightly wrapped around the phone as if it were a lifeline. But we have to be careful. If this is some kind of threat, then we'll face it head-on. Her determination cut through the murmurs of doubt, and for a moment, I felt a reciprocal courage dawning within. What's the worst that could happen? My breath hitched again, a fresh ripple of fear clawing at my insides. What was the worst? I had always held the safety of my family above everything, above pride, above fear. But in that moment, I recognized that I had a choice, to share the darkness instead of hoarding it. I took a step toward her, the gravity of our connection anchoring my resolve. Okay, let's do this together. I'll show you the messages, but before I could finish, the phone buzzed again with an incoming call. The number sent a bolt of cold panic racing through my veins, an unrecognized number from a local area code that felt both ominous and foreboding. Who is it? Iris asked, with a mix of excitement and trepidation. I hesitated, my finger hovering over the answer button as a rush of adrenaline surged through me. What if this was the call that would determine our fates? Finally, I swallowed hard and pressed it. Hello? I managed, my voice shaky. Is this the individual associated with the pending balance? A cold voice on the other end asked, indifference dripping from their tone. We require an immediate response regarding your account? I echoed, glancing nervously at Iris, whose wide eyes mirrored my mounting apprehension. Yes, the 510,000 owed. You have limited options available to you, the voice continued, its flat cadence cutting through the dim light of our sanctuary. This is a final notice. Consider your next steps carefully. Time is running out. Then, the line went dead, leaving a suffocating silence in its wake. The empty void echoed with the weight of the words spoken, trapping me in the shadows of impending doom. What do they mean by limited options? Iris pressed, her brow furrowing with concern. I don't know, I replied, panic fluttering in my chest. But it wasn't a standard call. It felt too distant, too clinical. I think this is worse than I thought. The chill shivered up my spine, igniting a spark of fear that felt like icy fingers clawing at the edges of my sanity. The quiet atmosphere of the room now buzzed with the weight of unspoken possibilities. But there has to be something we can do, right? She took my hand again, gripping it tightly. Suddenly, a thought struck me like lightning, igniting the need for urgency in my chest. Iris, what if it's not just money they want? What if they want something more? Her gaze widened as realization dawned, a dark implication hanging in the air between us, heavy and undeniable. And in that moment, amidst the fading echoes of raindrops against the glass, I understood the gravity of our situation. There was a deeper darkness waiting just beyond the edges of our lives, threatening to pull us both into a void we could not escape. My heart raced, and I swallowed hard, the chilling realization clinging to me. We need to figure out our next move, and we need to do it fast, I urged, my voice cracking under the weight of fear. As I glanced at her, trying to gauge her reaction, a new tremor of uncertainty took hold in my gut. The echo of that call lingered, pulling us closer to an abyss, one that neither of us could chart the course for alone. The storm outside had subsided into a slight hiss, but inside, the air felt electric, charged with the emotions we both couldn't afford to ignore. I could sense Iris' heartbeat pulsing against the rhythm of my own, a frantic drumming that bespoke both fear and an almost reckless determination. "What if this is all just a mistake?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper, threading through the silken tension suffocating the space between us. "Have you ever missed a payment and they just got it wrong?" I shook my head slowly, wrestling to contain the anxiety that threatened to erupt. "This isn't just late fees, it's really bad." Even as the words stumbled out, I half-heartedly searched for a sliver of hope to grasp onto. But the weight of the looming deadline pressed on my chest like a stone. Iris squeezed my hand tighter, grounding me. "Okay, we need a plan," she insisted, her gaze settling on mine with an intensity that made my heart race. "What do we know?" I glanced around the cramped room, desperately scavenging my thoughts for any scrap of information that would lead us to a solution. "I don't know much," I hesitated, rummaging through my memories of the past few weeks. "They want the money. If I don't come up with it, I can't let them hurt my family." "Iris, you won't be able to protect them by shutting everyone out," she replied, firm yet gentle, as if she were trying to light a candle in a darkened room. "You need to let me help." The idea mixed terror with something else, a growing warmth. Maybe that connection could guide us towards something more than just survival. "All right, we'll tackle this together. But we have to stay smart." We fell silent, each of us absorbed in the gravity of the situation. Little by little, a primal sense of togetherness began to break through the veil of dread, and I glimpsed the fragile beginnings of a plan. "Let's trace back the calls," I proposed, pulling up the contact details from the last call that still rattled in my ears. "I'd never made a call like this, but I had to." Iris nodded, her resolve mimicking my own. As terror swirled within my gut, a flicker of hope emerged. After all, how many people could claim they'd be brave enough to face the darkness with someone by their side? The phone rang, and before I could second-guess myself, my palms were clammy against the cool plastic surface. The line clicked, and an automated voice droned through, confirming the call's connection to the billing department. I forced myself to maintain focus, even while my heart pounded fiercely. "We're in this together." I repeated it like a mantra in my mind, but as soon as I began explaining my situation, the coldness returned. The voice on the other end quickly escalated, misinterpreting my uncertainty for weakness. Each denial was met with frustration. "You need to resolve this quickly," the representative snapped, "or the account will be escalated." In more ways than one. Just as I was about to plead further, the call abruptly ended, leaving me stunned, mouth agape. "They hung up on me," I said, throwing the phone onto the table in exasperation, helplessness flooding back. "What did they say?" Iris pressed, her brow creased in concern. "They're not playing games. They made it clear, this is serious," I stammered, panic rising again. "They mentioned escalation." It didn't sound good. She bit her lip, contemplating the sentence that lingered uneasily between us. "What if this isn't just about the money?" she mused quietly. I nodded, swallowing hard as her words sunk in. "I thought this whole thing was just about covering debts, but what if it's not?" With my mind racing, I felt a sobering realization creep in. What had I unwittingly walked into? Iris reached for her phone, flipping through screens, seeking information and answers. As I watched her, a wave of warmth enveloped me, knowledge that we were no longer alone in this. For now, there was a different kind of strength in shared vulnerability, even if the circumstances carried an ominous haze. Suddenly, the phone buzzed again, vibrating violently against the table's surface. It was a text from a number I didn't recognize. "You're running out of time. The number can be made lower, but you'll have to work with me. We're much closer than you think." Every ounce of my body went cold. "Oh no. Iris, you need to see this." I could hardly utter the words as dread clamped around my throat. I handed her the phone, my fingers trembling. As she read the message, a flicker of confusion crossed her face, quickly morphing into concern. What does this mean? Do they know us? I don't know. Who is this, and what does work with me mean? I felt like the walls were closing in, suffocating me with the tightening grip of uncertainty. The room hung in silence, but beneath it, the echo of our impending doom pulsated like an unrelenting heartbeat. We need to figure out who sent this, Iris whispered, her voice breaking the stillness. The intensity of her gaze sent a rush of urgency through me. We can't just wait for it to come to us. As we dove into the unknown, ready to chase the shadows lurking just out of sight, I felt the weight of fear morph into something else, a resolve ignited by the urgency of danger calling us both. And in that moment, I realized that the darkness we faced wasn't just an external force, it had woven itself into the very fabric of our lives, and the struggle to uncover its true nature would define everything. Before I could voice my thoughts, a sharp knock resonated from the door. My heart leaped into my throat as the sound echoed through the silent room like a gunshot. We exchanged a terrified glance, and without saying a word, I understood we had little time to figure out our next steps, but consequences were moving closer, and our past was about to catch up with us in ways we never imagined. A silence settled over us, heavy and suffocating, as the knock reverberated once more, an urgent call from beyond our sanctuary. I hesitated, frozen, trying to process both the message from the anonymous sender and the looming presence outside. Iris, with her wide eyes reflecting the stark fear mirrored in my own, motioned for me to stay still. Maybe it's just a delivery or something, I whispered, hoping my voice wouldn't shake. But deep down, I knew that whoever was at the door was entwined with our spiraling troubles. We both feared what that mysterious presence might portend. The knock came again, louder this time, seasoned with impatience. I took a tentative step toward the door while Iris shot her hand out, grabbing my arm. Wait. We don't know who it is. We should at least prepare. My heart hammered in my chest like a caged animal. In that moment, I felt the thrill of anger bubble up alongside the fear, angry at the world for shoving us into this corner, demanding we defend against shadowy threats lurking both inside and outside. Who could it be? I muttered under my breath, my mind racing through an array of possibilities. Is it the bank? Or someone worse? I don't know, but we can't open it unless we're ready, Iris replied, scanning the room. Her determination ignited a flicker of resolve in me, urging me to take control amid the chaos. I reached toward the small table lamp, casting an earthy glow that filled the corners of the room, creating shadows where monsters might dwell, and yet also revealing a glimmer of solidity in our haven. All right, let's be strategic. Get ready, we should peer through the peephole first. Iris nodded, moving quietly with purpose. She stepped aside as I approached the door, heart racing with every inch I covered. I crouched low and peered through the small lens, squinting into the dim light outside. To my surprise, a middle-aged woman stood there, dressed in a well-tailored coat, her silver hair spilling over her coat collar in elegant waves. She looked calm yet determined, like she held knowledge pertinent to our plight. Who is it? Iris whispered, her breath barely audibly trembling. I stepped back, feeling conflicted. I don't recognize her. She looks serious. Do you think it could be someone from the bank? Her brows furrowed, anxiety etching deeper lines into her forehead. I doubt it. But maybe I should just ask her what she wants, I replied, surprised by my own resolve. And yet, a small thread of hope pulled at my gut. Before fully realizing it, my hand was already on the knob, and before I could overthink, I twisted it open slightly, feeling the cool air escape into the room like a released sigh. Can I help you? I said, peering through the crack, half expecting the storm outside to unleash its final fury. Are you? The woman's voice was low, almost hushed. Are you, my name? Who's asking? My voice tightened naturally, defensive. She exhaled, and her features softened. I'm Anna. I'm here to help. It's urgent that we talk. Iris shot me a questioning look, her instinctual hesitance urging caution. But the mention of help coaxed a reluctant curiosity. Help? From who? I questioned, eyeing the woman's sincerity for any signs of deceit. I don't have much time. You're in more danger than you realize, Anna said, glancing behind her, as if ensuring we weren't being watched. And the message you received, it's just the beginning. I felt a shiver course through me. Is this possibly connected to the perilous hint hidden within that text? What do you mean? Please, just let me in. I promise to explain everything, she pleaded, eyes intent and earnest. In that brief moment of doubt, the fear began to morph once more into something that resembled courage. I opened the door wider, crossing my fingers that I wasn't leading us into further peril. She stepped inside, and the warmth of her presence pushed back against the cold lingering from our recent turmoil. Thank you, Anna said softly, glancing at Iris, who had retreated a step back, still grounded in suspicion. What do you know about our situation? I pressed, ready to unravel the knots of tension binding me. She paused for a moment, contemplating her words. I know about the debt, and how it ties into something larger. Her voice was steady, carrying the weight of urgency that compelled each of us to lean closer. You need to understand, this isn't just a financial mishap. It's about who you are, what you've inherited. The chill crept over me, masking a quick rush of confusion. Inherited? I don't understand. What are you talking about? Iris jumped in. Are you implying there's a legacy connected to this debt? Because that seems ludicrous. Not just any legacy. A dangerous one. Anna moved to the window, peering outside as if preparing for an incoming storm. And it's linked to the people who are coming for you, the ones who sent that message. My heart raced, her words struck with clarity only the truth could bring. You have to explain. What do you know? But then, as if timed with fate, my phone buzzed again on the table, illuminating the darkness in its screen. I picked it up, heart thundering, when another message appeared from the same unrecognized number. There are more than just debts at stake. Your history tarnishes your future. Don't let her sway you. I stared, the shock washing over me. This woman Anna, what did she really know? And whom could I trust? As I looked at Iris, whose eyes widened at the revelation, the sensation of being cornered engulfed me once again. We were right back where we started, but now with more questions than ever. That initial spark of hope began to flicker uncertainly, dimmed by the encroaching shadows. How much longer could we maintain the fragile resolve we fought for? The walls of our reality closed in, pressing harder than before, leaving us to confront the ghosts of our past and the terrors they forebode. The night was far from over, and it seemed our destiny was about to take another dark turn, one we were no longer certain we could navigate. I could barely breathe, the weight of the new message pulling me deeper into the abyss of uncertainty. As my gaze shifted back to Anna, her calm demeanor contrasted sharply with the turmoil spiraling inside me. The words of the text echoed like a haunting melody from a distant past, a reminder of debts I never comprehended and a history I never wanted to face. What do you mean, my history? I asked, my voice trembling at the edge of desperation. What history could possibly link me to any of this? I'll explain, Anna coaxed, her voice soothing yet firm, as if she were holding a fragile bird in her hands. But you need to promise me you'll listen without preconceived notions. What I'm about to share could change everything you think you know. I exchanged worried glances with Iris, feeling her doubt clawing at me. I wished I could shake my own insecurities too, but Anna exuded a sense of purpose. Okay, I said slowly, let's hear it. Anna took a deep breath, steeling herself as she recounted the intricate web of connections she had unraveled, the family ties I had been completely blind to. You are a descendant of a lineage that stretches back generations, intertwined with forces that map the landscape of power and wealth. Your family has made enemies, people who wield their influence ruthlessly. Enemies? Iris echoed, her voice tinged with disbelief. That doesn't make sense. How can we be responsible for the actions of people we've never even met? They've targeted you, and your current financial situation is no accident. They want you to fall, to lose everything, because it will damage the legacy of your family name, and they believe that will weaken their own position, Anna stated, her gaze resolute. What does that even mean? I asked, my heart racing as her words wrapped tighter around my throat. Why target me now? That's a question that's as dangerous as it is vital. She turned back towards the window, a shiver passing through her as she gazed outside, fear etching lines across her face. There are alliances breaking, and your family's position is at risk. You have to understand, they see you as a threat or an opportunity. Either way, you're caught in the crossfire. An uneasy silence hung between us, thickening with every passing second. I could feel the walls of the room closing in, the shadows creeping in closer as the chaos from the outside world rattled the foundations of our fragile sanctuary. But, what can we do? I asked, a sense of hopelessness clinging to my words. How do I fight against something so far out of my control? Knowledge is your first weapon, Anna replied, her voice steadying despite the storm brewing outside. You need to learn about your family and confront the realities of their past. There are pieces to this puzzle you haven't even begun to explore. Are you suggesting we go digging into family history? Iris asked incredulously. What good would that do? Wouldn't that only put us in greater danger? It could empower you, Anna insisted. It's vital we understand the dynamics at play. The more you know, the more capable you become to act. I looked between Anna and Iris, each face a reflection of my inner turmoil. And why should we trust you? Because I believe in truth over treachery, Anna replied, eyes shining defiantly. You may not see it yet, but I'm here because I think you are capable of changing the narrative written for you. There are always those willing to stand against the tide. The conversation hung heavy in the air, but as startling truths crashed upon me like waves upon a crumbling shore, I realized I had barely scratched the surface of what lay ahead. I could almost taste the complexity of destiny on my tongue, a blend of fear and misplaced hope, fierce and intoxicating. Before I could express my thoughts, another vibration from my phone jolted me back to the moment. I snatched it up again, pulse racing, desperate for clarity. But as the screen lit up, I felt my heart plummet back down. This time, the message was not just a grim observation, it carried a sinister warning: they're coming for you. Don't trust anyone. Not even her. A cold shiver ran down my spine. My breath hitched in my chest, panic rising, wrapping around my throat as I processed my predicament. Were Anna's intentions as genuine as they seemed? In an instant, all that glimmered with hope felt tarnished by the shadow of doubt. Iris, I began, but the words fell short. The rift between hope and betrayal widened, a chasm I could feel with every tick of the clock. Anxiety tightened in my bones, yet around me, Anna remained steadfast, her gaze unwavering. What do we do? Iris finally asked, her voice trembling. I can help you make sense of this, Anna interjected cautiously, but a flicker of hesitation crossed her features. But it may mean diving deeper than you ever intended. The room felt electric with every word spoken. My heart beat louder, thoughts swirling, fogged with apprehension and uncertainty. Was this the moment where I must decide if I could fully trust Anna or let fear dictate my next step? In the weight of that silent contemplation, the reality of my lineage clashed against a desperate future, leaving me to wonder how fierce the storm could get while another loud knock reverberated against our door. The darkness outside loomed larger, ready to consume whatever thin slivers of light we managed to hold on to. The night was signaling its final act, and I could feel the ground tremble beneath our feet, ready to sweep us away into the unknown. Would I step forward and claim the chance for truth, or would I cower, watching it all slip away? The sudden knock at the door sent a jolt of adrenaline coursing through my veins, making the hairs on my arms stand on end. It felt like the ground beneath me was shifting, cracking the foundation of whatever fragile resolve I had managed to muster. The urgency of it echoed my spiraling thoughts, intensifying the fear that had already coiled tightly in my stomach. Iris, let's not open it yet, I whispered, hoping my voice sounded steadier than I felt. My heart raced, pounding against my ribcage as if it were trying to escape. The darkness outside felt alive, brimming with unknown dangers. Anna, however, moved with a calm decisiveness that was both comforting and unnerving. We need to face whatever it is, she said, her tone authoritative, yet I could sense an undercurrent of anxiety. Hiding won't provide answers. It'll only allow the shadows to grow. Iris nodded, her wide eyes revealing the flicker of bravery she was struggling to find within herself. I couldn't help but admire her increasingly resolute demeanor, despite the palpable fear radiating off her. Maybe they're here to help? She suggested, though her voice shook at the edges. Without waiting for a response, Anna strode to the door, her footsteps strong and sure. I glanced at Iris, an unspoken question passing between us: what if this was a mistake? That the revelation of my past had unleashed forces far beyond our comprehension? But Anna had already turned the doorknob, opening the door a fraction, just wide enough for a shadow to spill into the dimly lit room. "Who's there?" Anna demanded with a confidence that masked the worry clouding her eyes. The silhouette outside hesitated before stepping into the light, a young man, soaking wet from what looked to be a rainstorm, with a disheveled appearance and a look of urgency stitched into his brow. "Please," he gasped, breathing heavily as he scanned our faces, "I don't have much time." "Who are you?" I asked, adrenaline flooding my system. "What do you want?" "My name is Leo," he said, catching his breath. "I know about the threat. I'm here because I can help you, but you need to trust me." I exchanged glances with Iris and Anna, uncertainty simmering in the air. How could we trust anyone amid the cacophony of doubt surrounding us? But something in Leo's dark eyes, a spark of desperation mixed with conviction, made me hesitate. What if he was genuine? What if he knew something that could unlock the door to my history or my salvation? "I know about your family," Leo continued, dismissing our skepticism with an intensity that held my attention. "They have powerful enemies who are lurking closer than you realize. There's a meeting scheduled tonight that you need to be aware of. Phone that could put your life in extreme danger." "Meeting?" I quipped, my mind racing. "What meeting?" "The family members who wish to harm you. They'll be gathering to finalize their plans. You may be a target, but you could also be the key to thwarting them if we act fast," Leo warned, his voice low yet urgent. "I wouldn't be here if it wasn't serious." I stared at him, chaos swirling in my mind as his words painted images of threats lurking in the shadows. Should I trust this newcomer with everything I barely understood, sparks of my family's dark past grazing the edges of my consciousness? "We don't even know if you're telling the truth," Anna said, her protective instincts flaring. "How can we be sure you're not one of them, trying to draw us into a trap?" There was an electrifying pause, the tension thick as fog rolling in from the darkened alleyway. Leo straightened, his expression morphing from desperation to a determination that belied his disheveled appearance. "I have proof," he insisted, reaching into his pocket and pulling out a USB drive. "This contains confidential information that was leaked. It's tied to your family history, but it also has details about tonight was involved and how they plan to move against you." My breath caught as I contemplated the implications. This was a potential lifeline stretching into the abyss and offering a sliver of hope. But it also felt like another layer of risk, each decision rerouting me further into the complexities of my family legacy. "Listen," Leo said, his voice dropping to a whisper. "I know you're scared, believe me, I am too. But if we don't react swiftly, the window for change might close forever. You have the chance to take control of your narrative. Don't let them dictate it for you." The urgency in his voice resonated within me, igniting the embers of resolve I thought I'd lost forever. But trusting him meant opening another doorway to risk, and with uncertainty gripping my heart, I felt the shackles of fate tightening around me once more. "I need you to decide, now," he pressed, his gaze intense enough to pierce through my doubts. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed fiercely in my pocket again, a sharp reminder of the precarious situation I found myself in. I pulled it out and glanced at the screen, my breath hitching at the words that flashed in front of me. "We know you're with them." In that moment, everything spiraled in a blur. Leo's offer hung in the air like an omen, Anna's tense gaze met Iris's trembling hands, and the walls around us felt like they were closing in. What if I chose wrong? What if this decision sealed our fate? Caught between the clattering of dark intentions and a flicker of hope, I hesitated, and the fraying rope of choices threatened to snap. What awaited me beyond the door? A chance for truth or a harrowing descent? The atmosphere inside the room grew thick with confusion as the weight of Leo's words settled over us like a blanket of ice. The vibrancy of our previous lives felt like an echo, fading beneath the treacherous realities that had unfurled before us. With my heart racing, I tried to process the urgency, but the buzzing in my hand demanded my attention. With trembling fingers, I opened the text message further, revealing a chilling follow-up: "You can't hide. We know everything, and we're coming for you." My mind whirled, spiraling deeper into panic. I turned my gaze from the screen to the faces of Anna and Iris, their expressions mirroring the horror that twisted inside me. How had they found me so quickly? "No," I barely managed to whisper. This can't be happening. We were not just hunted, we were the prey in a game that had spiraled out of control long before I was even aware of its existence. My thoughts flickered to the image of my parents, cloaked in mystique and shadows. If they had secrets, I had inherited more than just their bloodline. I had inherited their enemies. Who's we? Anna demanded, her protective instincts returning with a fierceness that grounded me amidst the chaos. What do they want? I don't know, but it can't be good, I confessed, the lump in my throat tightening as I wrestled to hold on to the shred of hope that Leo represented. Whatever the message says, it's already here. We need a plan, Leo said, his urgency surging like an electric current. We can't just sit and wait for them to make their move. I know a way out, but we have to move. Now, where? Iris interjected, fear shimmering in her eyes. What do we do? Before Leo could answer, the weight of my decision crashed down on me like a wave. The chaotic storm of emotions within me coalesced into one burning thought: I needed to be the one to lead us. As terrified as I felt, the moment propelled me forward, an inescapable push toward clarity in the murky waters that had become my life. Let's hear it, I urged, feeling the power of self-determination starting to reignite within me. Tell us how we can turn this around. His eyes brightened, confidence rising alongside my resolve. If I'm right, there's a safety deposit box at a bank just down the road that holds crucial documents. They contain information that can expose your family's enemies and potentially offer protection. How do you know about this? Anna shot at him, her skepticism momentarily overpowering her willingness to believe. It's complicated, Leo replied, his sincerity bubbling just under the surface. We don't have time for doubt. Just trust me. Was involved longer than I should have been. I know what they're capable of. But if we get in and out quickly, we may be able to gain the upper hand before they realize we're onto them. I looked at Anna and Iris, both clearly affected by the gravity of our situation. Anna's face had softened, and there was a flicker of possibility in Iris' wide eyes. Let's do it, I said, feeling a rush of adrenaline course through my veins. But we stick together, no matter what. No one gets left behind. With swift coordination, we gathered what little we had, the currency of trust stitched into the unseen threads of our lives. The adrenaline surged as we headed towards the door, the echoes of Leo's urgency thrumming in the air. We slipped into the rain-drenched night. The world outside felt foreign and threatening. My instincts kicked in, heightened by fear and the need for survival. The cacophony of the city street was drowned out by my pounding heart. The world felt darker more than ever, but for the first time in days, an ember of hope flickered within me, a glimmer that we could redefine the narrative that sought to swallow us whole. I glanced over at Leo, who walked alongside me, his rain-soaked figure glistening under the flickering streetlights. But just as I began to lean into this new purpose, my phone buzzed again, vibrating with unsettling urgency. Reluctantly, I pulled it from my pocket. My heart sank as fresh dread seeped into my bones. Another message awaited me: you're running out of time. Remember. They're not alone. We are watching. Before I could absorb the weight of the threat behind those words, a sudden noise erupted in the stillness of the night, a sound sharp and sinister, echoing against the alley walls. A car screeched around the corner, headlights slashing through the darkness, illuminating the scene like a spotlight, revealing the stage of a nightmarish play. And in that moment, my heart plummeted. The realization washed over me with devastating clarity: escape wasn't our only option, the chase was already on. Time warred against us, and the reality of what was coming loomed ever closer. The chaos of the chase enveloped us, every frantic heartbeat laced with the drum of time racing against us. I could feel it crashing down, like waves battering against a once calm shore. My mind was a tempest of fear and adrenaline, grappling with the urgency of survival, yet in that swirling storm, something deeper began to unfurl within me, a burgeoning resolve to confront the darkness that sought to consume us. Stick close. I shouted over the roar of the night, my voice cracking as panic gnawed at the edges of my resolve. The shadows of the alley seemed to stretch, consumed by an unforgiving whirlwind of dread. Each step echoed through the hollow space, reverberating with the weight of everything at stake. My heart thudded erratically, steadying myself only by grasping the hands of both Iris and Leo, forming an unbreakable chain against the storm. We sprinted, ducking into the twisted streets, our breath matching the frantic rhythm of our footsteps as I pushed forward, my mind racing. Racing thoughts tangled as I fought against the overwhelming fear that threatened to swallow us whole. The remnants of the message I received clawed at my thoughts like nocturnal beasts restless in the dark. You're running out of time. We are watching. Where's the bank? Iris shouted, her voice a fragile thread woven through the thickening chaos. It's a few blocks up. I managed to reply, sweat mixing with the rain that splattered our faces. It felt like we were caught in an unending torrential downpour, both from the sky and from the pressure closing around us. The foundations of what we believed were teetering, yet the urge to act burned brighter than the desperate shadows crawling towards us. The sudden sharp sound pierced through the air like shattering glass, a car door slamming. My stomach dropped, the realization crashing down with the sound. They were closer. I could feel the chill of fear settle in my bones, but beneath it, the ember of resolve sparked larger and more ferocious. Keep moving, I urged, frustration mixing with urgency as we pressed on, the bank glimmering like a distant hope through the veil of night. We rounded a corner, and there it stood, a monolithic structure looming before us, illuminated under the streetlights as if beckoning us closer. It felt too quiet, too still, like the eye of a storm just before chaos erupted again. Here. Leo pointed toward a side entrance, and I nodded, pushing through the door with renewed determination, each swing of it a statement of defiance against the darkness lurking behind us. Inside, the headlights from the street illuminated neatly stacked rows of safety deposit boxes, each one a potential beacon of light or a new haunting. My heart raced as I turned to Leo and Anna. We don't have much time. Where do we start? But Leo looked tense, glancing nervously at the door. We have to be quick. If they're tracking us, they'll know we're here soon. Without hesitation, I rushed forward toward the listings on the wall, searching for the box that might hold the answers to the questions haunting us. What's the number? I asked Leo breathlessly. 5011, he replied, urgency edging into every syllable. My fingers trembled as I made my way to the corresponding box, room spinning with both fear and anticipation. As I fumbled with the lock and turned the key, I felt the collective weight of my family's history hovering at the cusp of revelation. The door clicked open. Adrenaline surged through me, flooding my senses with a bittersweet mix of excitement and dread. Inside lay a bundle of documents, bound tightly with fraying twine, the edges yellowed from years of neglect. I pulled them out and cracked the seal, heart racing as I scanned the pages. Each line inked in messy loops revealed family secrets tangled with hidden connections. Names clutching like vines around unspoken sorrow. But before I could grasp the full extent of the truth, an ominous sound echoed behind us, the faint hum of a voice rising just beyond the confines of our sanctuary. I froze, heart thumping wildly. We need to get out of here. Now. I stuffed the documents haphazardly into a bag. Leo passed me, urgency overriding the desire to savor the knowledge I cradled so close. Follow me, I urged, leading us back toward the exit, my pulse thundering in tandem with the urgency that clawed at my heart. As we rounded the corner, the voices from outside began to rise, rough laughter mixed with sharp commands floating through the air. I pressed myself against the cool wall, peering out the glass door and spotting two men in dark clothing scanning the street just outside the bank's entrance. Shadows draped themselves around them, their intent dangerous. They're here, I whispered, fear clenching my throat. What do we do? Take the back exit, Leo suggested, determination etched in his eyes. We can make it if we move quickly. Before I could respond, Anna latched onto my arm, urgency sparking in her gaze. We can do this, we've come this far. We're not giving up now. Her words struck a familiar chord, the energy electrifying. I felt it pulsing. It wasn't just fear anymore, it was bravery, a scream of defiance, all captured in this moment where we stood at the precipice of choosing to fight. All right, lead us out, I said, a growing sense of reassurance igniting within me. With a nod, Leo led us through the bank's narrow corridor toward the rear exit, our footsteps silent against the linoleum flooring. I caught a glimpse of Anna and Iris stealing glances at each other, the bond we shared tightening like the tether of a lifeline, forging a path illuminated by shared survival. Just as we reached the door, I felt a heavy presence looming behind us, the shadows intensifying, a reminder that we weren't finished yet. With every inch we pushed toward freedom, I could sense the fire of survival igniting behind the walls of uncertainty. Then it happened. A thunderous bang resonated against the door we had just slipped out of. "We need to go," I urged, the adrenaline coursing through me as I propelled forward. The street was awash in moonlight, and the world felt both familiar and foreign. With every step on the pavement, I could feel the battle raging within me, fear battling against hope. We darted down the alley, heartbeats echoing wildly, an unstated agreement hanging in the air that we were together, we would survive this together. The spirit of determination mingled with the chaos surrounding us, navigating us toward the next uncertain turn. "Right here," I said, attempting to orient myself as I glanced at a nearby building. "We had to find a place to hide. There's a club up ahead, we can slip in and blend with the crowd." "Let's hurry," Anna urged, her voice steady even as fear danced behind her eyes. As we sprinted toward the entrance, breath hitching in my chest, memories rushed back, the love of family battling against the cold inevitabilities surrounding us. The reveal of my lineage nestled uneasily at the edge of my thoughts, yet mixed in was the resolve to rewrite the narrative that sought to silence me. We charged through the entrance, weaving between partiers and darkened corners, the booming music being the pulse of our collective fear. I could feel the crowd enveloping us, a temporary sanctuary clawing at the reality that remained outside. But as we made our way further inside, the moment of relief was cut short. The chaos behind us burst forth into the vibrant energy of the club. It felt like everything had converged, pulling my heartbeat into a chasm of uncertainty, eclipsing fears I thought I had left outside. The men had found us, and the darkness wasn't just an echo, it was rushing back with a vengeance. We didn't run. We couldn't. Instead, we melded into the throng, hearts hammering silently yet unmistakably against the backdrop of thumping music and orchestra serenading our inevitable showdown. The weight of betrayal danced in the haze of swirling lights, instigating a reckoning that loomed dangerously with every euphoric beat. I end that swirling tempest, my hand clasped tightly around the documents, a fragile bond between the knowledge contained within and the reality it illuminated. Just as fear wrapped itself around us, I felt an uneasy strength bubbling up, forging a path forward either into the light of understanding or deeper into the shadows of what lay ahead. "Stay close," I mouthed to Iris and Anna, my voice barely carrying over the pulsing beat, determination propelling me along with them. Together we would face whatever demons awaited. I could feel the warmth of their presence, an affirmation that we'd rise together or fall together, no longer shackled by the unseen threads woven around our lives. And just as I made a move toward a shadowed corner, reaching for some hope of sanctuary, I saw a flicker of familiar faces creeping into the club, searching, hunting. Our time was drawing closer. The moment was electric, charged with the desperation to connect the pieces of our painful truths, to rewrite the narrative that threatened not just our lives but the legacy we carried within our flesh. As the night pressed forward, the cacophony of sound and sensation swirled around me, a crescendo poised on the edge of revelation. Finally, it was time. I would confront the darkness that haunted my past and the storm brewing on the horizon. Would I embrace it, face what awaited, or would I allow it to shape a future I could no longer control? In this world of shadows, we could finally face the truth. With hearts entwined, the darkness dared us to step forward with resolution, to unravel the secrets buried in a history I was just beginning to understand. And with each pulse of the music beating against our hearts, I felt a clarion call settle deep. No longer would we run, for we were ready to claim our narrative and forge the path beyond the darkness. We were not just being hunted, we were brave enough to face our fate, and together, we would do so, ready to rise against the shadows lurking just beyond.